Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're going to be talking about the spell Project Image.
Like a hologram.
Yeah. Is that the spell description?
Basically. So it's
Yeah.
a 7th level, takes an action. It has a range of 500 miles. That's right, 500 miles is the range on this guy.
Good golly.
Yep, it lasts a day, but does require your concentration. It requires a small replica of you. Yes, you, made of materials worth at least 5 gold, which is weird. It doesn't consume it, at least, so you'll have a mini you forever, I guess. But sure. You then, how the spell works is you make an illusory duplicate of yourself for the whole duration, as long as you maintain concentration, of course. You can have that copy appear anywhere within 500 miles of you that you've seen before, regardless of intervening obstacles or whatever else. It looks and sounds like you. It's intangible, though. If it takes any damage, it disappears in the spell ends. You can use your action to move around. You can dash with it. You can make a gesture, speak, behave, whatever way you choose. It mimics your mannerisms perfectly, is what it says. You can then do the kind of familiar things. You can see through its eyes and hear through its senses, but you're blind during that time. And you can kind of like bonus action swap between them. You can also then note that physical interaction with this duplicate is an illusion, so your hands go right through it. It can walk through walls, all that kind of stuff. A creature that uses an action to examine it has the little examination clause that illusion spells have, where they make an investigation check, and if they pass the DC, they recognize it as an illusion. I don't know if anyone at my tables ever casted this, and I don't know when any player would want to cast this. I've seen many a villain do it. This is the Monologue spell, where if you want to gloat out in front of your party members without the ability for them to kill you, you just stick the lich, projects its image up into the top of his keep and lets out an evil laugh as the arrows phase right through it. But like beyond that, I don't know.
Now you said you can dash. The spell description says it can move at twice your movement speed.
Yeah, that's functionally the same thing. You're using your action to get the illusion to move up to twice your speed, which is like as if you were dashing, right? Because it would normally move and then dash.
So you couldn't use this to win a race.
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, hypothetically, if you are fast enough, yes.
Well, no, that's not what I mean.
So I guess my main issue with this is the logistical components of it. If you're project imaging, I'm wondering how much of a day you can go through without needing to physically interact with objects. And I'm like thinking to my own days, and I'm like, how much of life, like let's say I'm going to the mall for a day, how much of that day could I get by with without touching anything, without having any physical interactions whatsoever to hold up this illusion, without shaking a person's hand, without interacting with a door? How easily, like, do you have to just loiter outside of buildings waiting for people to open doors for you if you want to maintain this illusion? Is that like kind of where we're at with it?
Just stand on your balcony.
Sure. There are other illusion spells that I think are leagues better than this, because they're not just you, but this does have the fun upside of you can say you're anywhere within 500 miles. So like if you need to be somewhere else, conceivably this could be an alibi, just a really expensive alibi. Like I said, when I say expensive, I mean like spell level wise, not necessarily other things. I don't know. I'm having a hard time with this one.
Now, it says it mimics your actions perfectly. Does that mean if you are walking across the room, if your images, do you actually have to walk, or can you just march in place?
I'm assuming you can march in place. I'm assuming. I'm in the favor of
perfectly. Then your image would be marching in place.
Well, then you have this whole other problem, right? Where now all of a sudden you have like, if you put it in another city, you're just like, will it mimic your elevations? I don't think so. But if you change elevation, it's going to change elevation too, right? Like if you climb some stairs, it would then hypothetically start climbing stairs, but there may not be stairs for it to climb.
And also, if you're looking through its eyes, you can't see.
Yeah.
Tables and stuff.
Yeah.
So image is going, oh.
I would loosely interpret this to say that you basically have as finite controls you'd like, and it mimics the mannerisms and things you would do perfectly as if you would do them, not necessarily that you have to do those mannerisms to get this to do those mannerisms. I would just say like you can have the illusion move and do as you please. You can do that without knowing where it's going, or you can be more realistically blind, sitting in a hole somewhere controlling it. right? Like
Mm.
that's where I actually see the practical use of it is you are seeing through its senses and you are just telling it how to act and move, and it just perfectly mimics your mannerisms and stuff like that. Without you actually having to do the mannerisms, because again, as soon as you start having to do things like I need this to walk upstairs.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you're probably right in your interpretation there.
I don't know, Bob, what are your ideas? Like, how do you use project image to make it worth a 7th level spell slot that eats your concentration?
We've already ruled out foot races.
Yeah, unlucky. That was a really practical use case too. That was happening in every single D&D game at 7th level.
Yeah, you've got your villain thing. Yeah, I like the alibi idea. I mean, if you need an alibi, you know, if the alternative is going to prison for murder, then yeah, that could be worth a 7th level slot.
You're talking about like wizard prison, where they like you can't teleport out or anything. You're using a 7th level spell to avoid a prison,
or the death, or getting executed or whatever. Whatever, there will be consequences.
Sure.
To avoid these kind of consequences, where you need an alibi, otherwise you just don't need an alibi. If you need an alibi,
at what point do you just like in a D&D world do people just go like we can't trust a high level caster because project image exists, right?
Yeah, well, that's the case for a lot of spells.
So that's a good point. This is a game where you can't really trust your senses once you get to the very high levels.
Or low levels. The other thing I was thinking about this is an expensive mirror image.
At least like mirror image is aimed at being used in combat, and this is not, right? Like the trickery domain has this thing called invoke duplicity, which gives you a nearby illusion of yourself. I had a lot of fun playing trickery domain rogue hybrid multi-class back in the playtest. Super fun, where you have like your illusionally duplicate going around, and you got like the super edgy, like there's 2 of us at once. Which one do you fight? Which one do you trick? You get to do extra fun knife stabby things. I don't know. It was nifty, and there were some neat use cases for that, but that's a 1st level feature, right? Like you just get that for being a trickery domain cleric, and it wasn't that good. This is hypothetically long distance version of that, but it happens at like 13th level.
All right. Here's one. You want to see who the traitor is. So you walk out of the shower, disrobe, and say, "Oh my, I seem to have forgotten my ring of protection, and I'm standing in front of the window with my back turned." And and real you is keeping an eye on the target, on the suspect.
Who we're now assuming is a pervert. That's like a given here, right?
Oh, he's just there with his crossbow.
Oh, gotcha. Just with the crossbow, nothing else funny business happening. Watching a man get out of the shower. Continue.
Maybe. I mean, his discount assassin is also jacking it. But anyway, you want to know if this is the guy that's, I guess if he's sitting at the window with a crossbow, it's
pretty apparent.
Anyways, this is my idea. Not specifically this, but yeah. Or there's 3 guys across the street, and whichever one of them turns and shoots because the target is just too vulnerable. He doesn't care if he gets known. He's got the clean shot right now, so he's going to take it. Now you know who the betrayer is.
Well, then why does this have to be you? Like you have to be the target of assassination for that case use, right? But this spell, I don't think it'd be out of bounds for it to just you create a duplicate illusion of a person that perfectly mimics their attributes to your knowledge, right? Like let it be
fine. You're talking about a different thing. The question posed to me was how to make this useful.
I don't think you succeeded.
I do.
How often does one specific character in the party go to be an assassination target and have that be like the crux of an adventure at 13th plus level? I don't know. Maybe that'll come up. Maybe it'll come up enough times that with the other use cases, the spell is good.
Oh, all right. Disguise self first.
I guess no. Let me Google disguise self, because if that requires concentration, that doesn't work. I don't think disguise self does though.
Or have a gifted disguiser make a physical disguise on you.
That would that work? Oh god, now I have questions. Does it hold on, I have to read this spell again. Does this come as a perfect illusory copy of yourself? Yeah. So if you are disguised, then hypothetically it comes up as you disguised. That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Is that good? Probably not. But it's neat. Disguise self, you could do this with disguise self, so that doesn't require concentration. It just lasts an hour. So you could disguise self yourself as somebody else and then project yourself somewhere across the world. And for an hour, you get being an illusory copy of them. That's a neat little combination. Okay, this is upping the use cases here by quite a bit. At the same time, I don't know if this is worth a 7th level slot still.
I am the king. I'm coming up with the shower.
Sure. You went into the problems, right, where I'm thinking like using this in the world, I as a human being bump into things constantly, right? Like I am not aware of my surroundings even a little bit. If I had to control a remote duplicate of me without like having to split my attention between where I am and where it is, and then having to be like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to run and walk through things. It'd be like watching really bad animation from like an old 2000s video game where just hands and objects willy-nilly are flying through things, where, you know, the backpack just kind of like phases through your shoulders as you're putting it on, you know, those kinds of things. And I just don't.
All baked into people's chances to detect the illusion.
And I think that makes it kind of unusable in a lot of tables. Like me as a DM, I'd have a very hard time running this, I think. So I feel like I'd be way too harsh on it by being like, can you pull this off? Give me performance checks and stuff. Give me like investigation and perception checks to like look and sort of navigate the environment. Because you're puppeting a thing without physically being there. So you can't feel the space around you either. You can only see and hear it. I don't know. I think this would be a really hard spell to use, and I think I'd be very harsh with it as a DM to the point where I'd be like, I should stop being so harsh and just let this do more than it says. Because I don't know. I think like it would be very easily detectable as an illusion. It would be difficult to make even the use cases where it isn't detectable as an illusion good. And I just, outside of very niche circumstances, I think I'd rather have almost any other illusion spell. Things that let me just create illusions that aren't me, right?
All right, let me ask you this one. You want to use this to make the illusion of yourself walking over a bed of hot coals. Now, the coals aren't attacking you. Does that count as taking damage?
I don't know how I'd answer that question. If the illusion takes any damage, so like, I think rules is intended and rules is written, the answer is yes, but I have a hard time seeing like, so it's an illusion, you pass through objects. If I were to pass through an object too hard, that would deal me a point of bludgeoning damage. Wouldn't that lead the illusion to cease to exist? So I think I would be very lenient on that front at least and be like, yeah, no, look, I can walk through walls, I can swallow swords and do a whole bunch of other weird things because, you know, you're illusory, you don't take damage from things that aren't hitting you, right? You're not like the illusion isn't being damaged.
Right.
I don't know. That I think that's odd. I would probably rule favorably in the favor of like doing the cool, unique things.
All right. Well, walking across coals, another use.
Pretend to be Jesus. Got it. Like let's do
some water, not coals.
Sorry. Listen, doing things that are supernatural. Sure. I don't even think a lot of DMs would rule that way because the way it's worded says no, that would deal it damage. And thus it doesn't work in that case. But with me, it would. I don't know. Your mileage may vary, but that mileage is still pretty bad.
Of course, I mean, it doesn't explicitly say you can walk through walls. But, yeah, whatever. I don't know.
It does say like it appears at any location regardless of intervening obstacles. So this does, it can just start inside of like a random cart halfway through it.
Yeah, well, that would kill you.
It shouldn't. So
no, I'm saying like if your body was bisected by a wall.
Agreed. Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, I'm calling it official.
Okay, official ruling. You heard it here first, folks. You can take arrows to the head, walk through chainsaws. It's all fair game.
I think that's what the intended rules were. if people are like shooting you, and you take damage, then yeah, the illusion disappears.
I find that so odd because the illusion isn't taking any damage. The illusion isn't getting hit by anything. Things are just pass right through. It doesn't matter how fast things are going. If you spawn inside the middle of a moving cart and the cart keeps moving, it doesn't kill you. You don't get damage from that, but it's a moving object passing through you, right? And I would feel the same way about arrows. I would feel the same way about swords and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have all the answers.
Yeah, it's okay. Neither do I.
All right. We beat that one to death.
I think so. I think this is a 2. I want to give it a 1 because I think it's just way overcosted. But I think this is a 2 and that there'll be some niche use cases for it. It's a great monologue villain tool. World building wise, this is a great way to screw with your players by being like, look, the baddie's over there, but we just saw him over there. That's how that, like, yeah.
I think you've given, I mean, you yourself did the alibi. I think that's a great one.
I'm just not convinced it's going to happen.
Perhaps not as useful. No. Well, it could if you do enough bad things.
Gotcha. I'm sorry. So the more villainous you are, the better this gets. What I'm hearing.
Yeah, and like with the disguise self combo, and because I've just been like arbitrarily going 1 star above you this whole time, this one I'm giving a 4.
Oh my God! Arbitrarily going too higher. You'll have to hear it.
Yep. All right. Well, that was which one were we talking about even? Project image. Project image. Thank you, Sam, for joining us, and thank you everyone for listening and watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.